Welcome to Incan Fitness. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anthony. I'm someone who went from skinny to fit, and these videos are pretty educational. So this way, if you are also someone who's on the skinnier side, you can take what you're learning inside from this content, apply it to your own fitness journey, be consistent with it, and get some good results. If you are someone though who's looking for one-to-one coaching, the link for that will be down below in the description, so feel free to check that out. But enough about that. Let's get straight into the video topic for today, where we're going to be talking about how to put on size if you're a tall, skinny guy. So I like to consider myself a tall, skinny guy, or at least tall, not so much skinny anymore. Decently less skinny, as I like to say. But what I would consider tall is, I guess, anywhere from 6'0" and above, maybe 5'11" and above. Depends on what your own definition of tall is, right? Um, but typically, those who are really skinny tend to be pretty tall. So, they have the lanky arms, lanky legs, that sort of stuff. So typically those kind of individuals are pretty tall. So there really is no magic recipe or formula. I mean, I guess maybe there is a magic formula, but there is no magic solution or potion or supplement or whatever it is, training regimen that you need to do in order to pack on the most weight, most size as possible as a tall, skinny guy. Things as far as nutrition, training, and rest are relatively the same throughout the entire process, throughout the entire phase, right? So from the bulking phase to the training phases to the resting phase, everything is just exactly the same, right? For most people. Obviously, there's some differences here and there, specifically with the eating portion, because obviously a guy who's 6'2", weighs 180 pounds is gonna need more food than someone who weighs 160 pounds and who's 5'9" or 5'10", right? So as far as the eating side of things goes, that's where you're gonna find the differences. But as far as training, rest, and recovery, those things stay relatively the same. But let's cover the eating side of things, where we're going to be talking about bulking. You need to bulk if you want to gain size. There is no getting around this. You need to have a good proper bulking phase, and a good bulking phase will last anywhere between 12 to 16 weeks, so 3 to 4 months. In terms of like recommendations for bulking, a lean bulk is something that you want to opt in for. Dirty bulking is just it's just going to allow for you to gain unnecessary fat that you don't need, and it's going to make you feel not good, right? It's going to make you feel shitty health wise. um, because imagine this: you're dirty bulking, you're eating thousands and thousands of calories above your maintenance for weeks on end, and then all of a sudden you can't even climb up a flight of stairs without running out of breath or feeling out of breath. So you don't want that to happen to you. You also want to stay relatively toned, relatively lean, and feel good as well. And so this is what a lean bulk will help you aim to achieve, essentially. So as far as how much we should be eating above our maintenance calories for within a lean bulk, it should be anywhere between 3 to 500 calories above your maintenance. As far as junk food goes, you don't have to cut those, your favorite foods or snacks out. Just use it in a more strategic way. If you feel like you need a little bit more calories, then maybe have a favorite snack that you usually like to munch on. If you're tired of eating the same meal every day because you've been doing it for weeks on end, then treat yourself to a cheat meal or two, right? Whatever makes you feel happy, whatever makes you feel like the bulk is a lot more sustainable, a lot more enjoyable, so this way you don't essentially steer off in the wrong direction within that 12 to 16 week time frame of you doing a proper bulking phase, because you want to be super consistent within those 12 to 16 weeks, so that way you can get the best bang for your buck. Liquid calories as well is something you should consider including every now and then. Obviously, it shouldn't be like an every kind of meal type of thing. Otherwise, you're going to be shitting liquid as well, and you don't want to do that. It would be quite unpleasant. So only utilize liquid calories every now and then when you feel like you need it. Once a day is fine. Personally, for me, I don't do any liquid calories anymore. But if you have the budget for a protein powder, I always recommend chocolate, but if you have the budget for it, go ahead and buy it. You definitely don't need it as long as you're hitting your protein goals, which is another thing. You want to make sure you're hitting your protein goals, so you want to aim for 1 gram of protein per body weight that you weigh. But if you feel like you need protein powder, so that way you can help yourself meet your protein goals, if you feel like you need that liquid calorie, because it's much easier to take down liquid calories instead of solid food, and it's a lot quicker as well. So if you feel like you need it, go ahead and get it. You can consume it once a day, no problem there. Um, I feel like there's one more point I wanted to add on to that, but it's okay. Let's move forward. If it comes back to me, I'll definitely circle back around to it. But next up is training. Training is super important as well. Obviously, you want to make sure your eating and rest and recovery are dialed in. But when it comes to training, you want to make sure you're training with high intensity. So don't just swing around the weights willy-nilly, doing that kind of shit. It's not going to help you at all whatsoever. So you want to make sure that, you focus on your form, that you take your time with each rep, that you're actually feeling the muscle that's being worked within that given exercise, and that you're not ego lifting, most importantly, as well, because when you ego lift, you increase the chances of yourself being injured. And so you definitely don't want to go through an injury. It's just going to set you months or even years behind on your fitness journey. So you want to be very careful with that. Very careful with that. As far as form goes, just to add one more point, form will always matter more than the weight that you're lifting, and that is the truth. Because if you're lifting a weight that you have no business in lifting, then you're not going to get the benefits of lifting that weight. Because you're likely 9 times out of 10, you're swinging your body around, you're swinging the weights around in general, and you're essentially not lifting the weight that you should be lifting, right? It's gonna set you back as well. You're gonna be wondering why you're not making any progress, while you're there looking kind of like, I don't know, like you're humping the air trying to get a weight up that you shouldn't be lifting, right? I don't know if you guys have seen TikToks or Instagram reels of someone called El Campeón, but he lifts a lot of weight that he should not be lifting. The guy looks okay, his physique is decent, but he always lifts an outrageous amount of weight. Like he literally stacks on plates, like probably like 10 plates, 15 plates per side for leg press. He, 8 plates each side for squats, that sort of stuff. And he barely does half a rep. He barely does even a quarter of a rep. And so you don't want to be one of those guys who just ego lifts all the time. It's really not for your own benefit. And if anything, it's an injury waiting to happen. So do not do that. It's not for your own benefit. If anything, you're going to hurt yourself. So don't be stupid. Actually be smart with your training. Now, instead of doing your typical 4x12 on every exercise, like you see most people do when they start off their gym journey, do 2x6 to 8 reps instead. So 6 reps being the lower side of the rep range, while 8 is the highest. Typically, if you pick a moderate weight and focus on your form, you will hit failure by the 6th or 8th rep, because you want to train to failure within those 2 sets. And of course, the final point is just to make sure you're progressive overload. So, getting stronger within each exercise that you do, so long as you're completing the rep and set scheme that's given with the weight that you're doing with perfect form. So don't cheat your way out of trying to increase the weight when you can't even do, the given set and rep scheme for that given weight with really good proper technique and form. So do yourself a favor, don't cheat. Make sure you're taking your time with everything, and you'll thank yourself in the long run. As far as rest goes, this is, quite literally just super simple. I mean, just get 7 hours of sleep get 7 hours worth of sleep per night. That's just it. Because getting adequate rest is just as important as training and eating. If you don't get enough rest, then your body can't do what it's meant to do while it's sleeping, right? So that's repairing, rebuilding, and recharging your own batteries, recharging your body. So if we are training with high intensity, then we definitely need to make sure we're prioritizing sleep, because if we don't get enough sleep, we're going to feel all groggy, we're going to feel tired, and we're not going to be able to go as hard inside of the gym. So be wary of that. So as I said, make sure to get 7 hours or more worth of sleep. 7 is, the sweet spot right there. Nothing less. If you want to do more, if you're able to get more, great. If not, perfectly fine. 7 is the minimum. If you do struggle with sleep, though, try out different sleeping supplements such as melatonin. Don't become dependent on it, though. If you take it every day for a few weeks on end, your body will get used to it, and it will become dependent on it. So be careful of that. Every now and then is fine, whenever you do need it, whenever you feel like you're really struggling to get sleep. But every day, don't do it. It's just like any other medication or supplement out there. If you take it for prolonged periods of time, your body gets used to it, and it essentially won't be able to do what it's naturally supposed to do without taking that supplement. So that's why you find people who take melatonin for weeks on end and they wean off of it, or they just completely go cold turkey. They can't sleep for a couple days in a row, or at least get quality rest for a couple days in a row, because their body is so reliant on melatonin to help them sleep. So keep that in mind. And then last but not least, we have consistency, which is definitely. I know I said, all these items are important, but this is by far, the most important of the most important of the most important things that you need to be doing. And that is being consistent with everything that I've been mentioning so far up until this point. Because it's quite possibly the secret ingredient, quote unquote, to your success in reaching your own fitness goals, and just essentially getting that dream physique or body that you want for yourself. So you can't just stay consistent in one out of the three areas that I mentioned, right? You need to be consistent with all three areas of fitness. So training, eating, and resting. Because if you're half-assing one area while you're doing good in the two other areas, you're not going to get as good of results as you could be if you were consistent and dialed in with all three of the areas of fitness. So you also can't rely solely on motivation either as well to help you get to the gym. It's going to take more than just motivation to stay consistent. And this is where the discipline piece of things come into play. Because in order to be disciplined, we need to make sure we remember the reason why we started our fitness journey in the first place. Why are we doing this? Why are we going to the gym? Why are we, tracking our macros or calories, right? Why are we actually giving a shit about sleeping during the nights and getting good quality rest? So all these things are important. Keep it in mind when you are working out, when you are doing the bulking phase. So this way you can actually stay clear on your goals and stay on that path and not wean off of it or steer off in the opposite direction. If there's one piece of advice that I could give you all when it comes to getting inside of the gym and getting started, if you're someone who has no prior gym experience, who has never touched a weight in their life, or maybe you're someone who's starting to or wanting to get back into the gym, I would recommend starting small and working your way up. So for example, if you want to aim to go to the gym 4 times per week, because you don't need to go to the gym 6 times per week for 2 hours, 3 hours a day to get great results. You can easily get great results if you go to the gym 2, 3, 4, or even 5 times per week for half an hour to 60 minutes, as long as you stay consistent with it. But if you are someone who's wanting to go 4 times per week, I always recommend starting off by going 2 times per week for a few weeks first, for maybe half an hour, and then gradually working your way up as your body adapts to the amount of times that you go to the gym per week. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you're going to the gym 4 times per week for maybe 60 minutes. And then you finally end up getting to that goal amount of numbers, or goal amount of times per week that you want to go to the gym. So it's always best to start small and then work your way up instead of going from 0 to 100 right off the bat, because that in itself is not sustainable. And we want to make sure that we make fitness a lifestyle and not, essentially something that's just an every now and then type of thing. That covers it for the video for today, though, guys. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Comment down below what you all want to see in terms of a next video topic or idea, and I'll be happy to make it for you all. One more time, if you are someone looking for one-to-one coaching, the link for it will be down below in the description. So check that out. But until the next one, guys, take care. Much love. Peace.